You never know what kid is watching. And now that I'm getting older, I'm finding that they were always watching. That's no different than me watching all of my heroes. And growing up, Jason Donners, of course, was sort of the hero to me, as the way he rode and how successful he was in going to 6 days.
A lot of the people I looked up to when I was younger is first and foremost my dad. He was my hero, so he still is. And then Paul Neff, Aaron Wilson, Jonah Street. They always had the cool helmets that like said Team USA on the back and all that stuff, and I always wanted that.
Right now, I'm just now getting closer to Jaden, because if you think about it, I rode my first 6 days when he was born. And then the next 16 years goes by, and that's when I'm in my prime, and now he is budding into his prime when I'm on the way out. Probably the way his dad was looking back at me. And I think that that's pretty cool to see it go full circle for me.
Paul and I go way back. He's been there for a lot of the trail rides, for a lot of my racing, and he's always just been kind of a brother figure almost. Always helping me out, always showing me how to do cool stuff, how to have fun. Riding was just kind of what my dad did and all his friends did. And I never realized like the riding we were doing was kind of intense. Getting into racing was pretty seamless because an average ride with my dad and his buddies is like 8.5 hours. And so when I was like 8 years old doing that, I thought that was like dirt bike riding. Like I thought everyone did like 80 miles every day. And then when I went racing, I realized it was only like an hour and a half, 2 hours long.
You know, I grew up riding motorcycles in a club. My family was part of a motorcycle club, and they would put on races and events, and we would go on campouts. And I was just sort of submerged in motorcycling. And now that I'm older, I really realize how important that was. So I would say probably from 12 to 15 is when the faster riders in the club, you know, some of my, I could call them mentors, sort of saw something that maybe I could, you know, race someday. And I ended up going on rides with them. And a big turning point for me, I learned a lot, I got a lot faster. And I ended up going to my first 6 days when I was 16. There are a lot of riders who can go fast, but the mental side of the sport affects how consistent you can go fast, how motivated you can stay during the week, or even during a race for that matter, how hard you keep pushing and charging, and whether you're going to give up or not. And a lot of times, some of the best races that you have, you necessarily didn't win, but you know how hard it was mentally to keep going or overcome some sort of problem that you had that day.
The biggest race I've done personally is I went to France for the ISDE last year, and that was a really big deal because my dad has been 9 times, Paul has been I think 4 times. Everybody I know here has done it, and I've always wanted to do it. So that was a really big build up because you qualify for it 8 months before, you ship a bike 6 months before the race. The whole year is just dedicated to that one event, and it's pretty surreal when you show up and your name's up there with the whole Team USA. Paul really helped a lot, and he ended up giving me a lot of advice that my dad just didn't know how to say, I guess. Paul's really good at keeping his brain moving the whole time, because Dakar Rally, your mind can go numb and stuff. So he shared some of the tips with me of how to keep, on those 8-hour days, how to keep your brain from falling asleep.
As a younger racer, 15, 16, I had told myself that Dakar wasn't in the cards for me. I didn't have the resources to ever go, and I just knew that that wasn't an opportunity that I had. So the significance for me going to Dakar is that it proved me wrong. It proved myself wrong, and that's kind of powerful, that we can do whatever we put our minds to it. The support was, for one, overwhelming. It was unbelievable how the Pacific Northwest motorcycling community rallied behind me to get me to Dakar. And it was really powerful because I didn't think I was ever going to get the opportunity, and all of a sudden these pieces start falling in front of me where the community of riders rallied and supported me little bits at a time.
The Washington motorcycle community, they are probably the strongest community I know. No matter what I decide to do, they always get behind me. Me and Paul have both been overseas for Team USA, and the Washington community has really helped that a lot. I think growing up and riding with my dad and doing these hell ride, like I'm on a little mini bike and it's 10 hours and we only went 8 miles. I think my dad was conditioning me when I showed up to France. I ended up making a lot of really good friends and had a lot of people show me where I need to be, what I need to be doing, and really supported me through that. On day one, my brakes failed, and I had a really rough day that day, but I ended up making it through to the final checkpoint. And I got there, and everyone that knew about it had all the tools set up, all the parts ready to go for me to swap it out and get going. My biggest goal for that race was to get top 5 American, and I ended up crushing that and ended up second, so that's pretty cool. I felt a lot better and a lot more confident in myself being able to do that. And I think that's a really cool thing to feel, because like watching Paul go to Dakar and that stuff, like the average person, they think, oh, I could never do that, but Paul has all those experiences that lead up to where he's confident in him going to do that.
I had this sort of internal struggle with, do I want to go and ride the way I know how to ride because I got one chance at Dakar, or focus on this one goal of finishing and almost sag the race a little bit, or, kind of not give 100% speed-wise. And if I didn't go give it my all every day and kind of ride the way I know I can ride, that even if I did finish, I would be disappointed forever, and that my goal was to go and give it my 100% every day and let the cards fall where they fall. My Dakar ended with a catastrophic crash on my part on day 9, and it was a dune drop-off that kind of was blind, and sand can look flat sometimes, and I misjudged it, and I dropped off and compressed in the bottom. I landed on my tires but broke my pelvis, half dozen ribs dislocated, and broke my wrist really bad, some fractures in my back. In hindsight, it would be easy to say I made the wrong choice, but when it's all said and done, how can you be disappointed in anything when you gave it 100%? I am never going to tell myself that an opportunity's not there. It bums me out to think that as a younger racer, that I convinced myself that I couldn't go to Dakar. The takeaway is that I can do something, no matter how far out it seems. It's been good coming back and riding with my friends for fun, and just sitting on a mountain cliff where I grew up, poking fun of each other.
Traveling back, all I was thinking about was getting home and seeing my dog, and then going riding at home because it was raining at home. So it was really good weather to go ride. And all I wanted to do was go ride with my friends and go camping and have a blast.
There will definitely come a time where all of this lost time of me and Jaden riding together, we earn it back later when I'm older and he's older.
I definitely will ride for the rest of my life. You're always going to be going on to the next step, going to the next level. Even if it's stepping back from racing, you always have a goal you're going to work towards. Once you lose that, then what are you even going to do?